What makes a video game an RPG? What are the definitive video game RPGs? One live stream will give you all the answers.
Not really, but I'm going to play some RPGs I like and hang out with you guys Friday, August 7th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. I would love for you to come and chat with me about whatever's on your mind during my Defining RPGs live stream at youtube.com/christiangeekcentral. That's Friday, August 7th, starting at 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Hope to see you then. All right, buckle up. This car has a spoiler. I'm sitting in my garage and just finished watching Proximity. And wow, in many ways, it's a movie that was just not for me. And I kind of certainly emotionally was checked out for a lot of the experience. But we've got to talk about some stuff at the ending. Let's just jump to the most crazy thing to me. Okay, rough insert here. I know that I usually do this in my car. I just recorded my review, and in my review encouraged people, even who haven't seen the movie, if they don't mind being spoiled, to check out my spoiler car video. And I realized in that video I don't describe the big shocking scene for those who might be interested in, being spoiled without seeing the movie. So, just to set up here, in the final scene, they're in a cabin with a crazy, kooky guy who was abducted years ago and who's the only one that will believe them and help them and stuff. And he figured out how to communicate with the aliens, and so the aliens arrived. They're sitting in his cabin, and they found this way to communicate back and forth. And so the aliens explain to the main character that they are searching the universe, like the protagonist asks, why us? Why have you come to humanity? Why are you so interested in humanity? And they were like, we have explored and mastered all of science, all of learning, and we have one question remaining, and that is the origin of the universe. Basically, what it brought about the origin of the universe. And so the main character says, well, if you're looking for that kind of information, why us? Why humanity? And he says, because we noticed, we sense something in your, like an aura on you that no other creatures in the universe possess. You three have a stronger vibe of this aura or something. I don't know what they were saying. And so can you tell me who this is? And then he puts his alien hand up and gives the main kid a vision of Jesus. And you don't see him on the cross, but it's people in Bible times clothes and crazy flash, lights. You can't make out exactly what's going on. But I mean, it's stereotypical Jesus type costuming and footage with people and him in kind of like this glorified, rising state, and I was just baffled. Anyway, and they say, who is this? And he says, it was Jesus. I couldn't believe he was saying Jesus. It was Jesus. Why are you looking for him? He says. And the alien says, because he has a stronger aura than any human being or anybody in history, and he is tied to the creation of the universe. And that's why I'm like, holy crap. I mean, that's a biblical concept that Jesus himself, the Logos, made all things. That it was through the Logos, through Jesus, through as we would say, the second person of the Trinity, that all things were made that were made. And so that's a very Christian concept. And then they just kind of moved on and got back to your regularly scheduled movie. And so now I'll get you back to your regularly scheduled spoiler car. The aliens are looking for Jesus? What? It's such an interesting choice. Such an interesting choice. It makes me wonder if maybe this film, if Eric Demusy, if that's how you pronounce his name, he's the writer and director, it makes me wonder if he is a Christian and he made this movie and just wanted to kind of put that moment in there. It seemed very much out of left field from what was going on. I thought the story was going to circle back around to the main character's coping with the death of his dad and the accident that he apparently was in. Just the direction of the story was really strange to me. It seemed like for a while it was going to be about, is he dreaming this or is he not? Is he imagining this? Is he not? Is this real? And then at some point it was like, okay, this is real, this is legit, but now we're being chased by the government, by shadowy government guys. And as I'm sure I'll mention in my review, it feels very much like it's trying to conjure some 80s space movies, and specifically some 80s movies that sci-fi movies that featured kids. So E.T., but the result of if that's the case, of kind of like trying to reconjure some of that vibe, the result is very different from, say, like a movie like Super 8 or a TV show like Stranger Things, which this director apparently did some visual effects work on. So he, I would totally believe, has a kind of a love for the 80s movie aesthetic. Anyway, the reference to Jesus and the aliens looking for Jesus, it was like out of left field, and it was a thought that was never come back to. And I really wish that would have been developed more or just left out. I wish it would have been led up to in some way, so that when you see that, when this moment comes, you would see, oh, I can understand Jesus being like relevant, and them looking for Jesus being relevant to past alien abductions and something that would connect the fact that the aliens are looking for Jesus to what the characters have been dealing with. And I feel like, right before that scene, the main character started asking questions of like, is there purpose to life? I keep wondering is there any purpose to all this, or is these things just happen completely randomly? It's like that made me sit up, and it's like, oh, okay, so we're kind of getting philosophical here. We're asking questions about the meaning of life, But I don't remember any development of those kinds of themes or that kind of internal wrestling of the character prior to that moment. It seemed, in hindsight, to me to be like, okay, we got to set up that the character is asking some questions about life and the meaning of life. If we're going to bring Jesus into it and say Jesus is the answer, then we have to have a question that Jesus is the answer to. And so, after the vision of Jesus that the alien gave him, there was a moment where the alien said to him, the question, something like, the struggles you're having, whatever, they're not going to make sense to you as long as you live in this paradigm, I'm totally paraphrasing here, where seeing is believing. The aliens then said, we have come to understand that believing is seeing. And that's the kind of thing I would expect, a believer to say, a Christian to say, and yeah, and so it just seemed like all of a sudden, like many, elements of the movie, it seemed like the skeleton of the movie felt like a first draft, like I couldn't get what the focus was, what the main theme was. Is this about him dealing with the death of his dad and recovering from that? Because some of those 80s movies will come full circle, with the big adventure somehow tying into the thing that the kid is dealing with. And I didn't feel like the big climax was tying back to him dealing with the death of his dad. And if his questions about the meaning of life and stuff was supposed to be tied to him dealing with his dad, I didn't see the connecting thread to that. It was just a lot of things going from one thing to the next, and so the Jesus moment was likewise, it felt to me very much out of left field. Certainly, I'm sympathetic as a Christian to those kinds of ideas being explored, and I love the fact that we've got this sci-fi movie with an alien abduction, and we're doing something wildly different with the aliens, especially when you bring faith into the mix. I think a lot of Christians that are going to write about alien abductions and stuff like that, they're going to make the aliens be demons. You know, in my own work, even though I wasn't dealing with alien abductions, but in my own work, I present the concept of aliens actually being demons, you know. And that ground has been tread very well. I made my statement on that in 2006 or 2004, actually. And since then, that idea has been hammered into the ground. And so I was delighted to see this idea where, okay, the aliens are not, first of all, they're not demons. They're benevolent. And they are looking for the creator of the universe. They're recognizing that the universe begs to have the question asked, who made this, you know? And that's what cosmology leads us to ask, is like, there's a beginning point. And so it just makes, it just like demands the question of, okay, well, why and how? Or at least why? Why is there something instead of nothing, you know? Anyway, but the execution on it, even though I love the use of, I love the turning the nature of the aliens and their take on Jesus, love that. But the execution did not work for me. Oh man, I'm really bummed about that. And then the ending with them going off and making a life for themselves, it seemed too easy and too simple. Like they're in Costa Rica and they're working at like a coffee cafe hut on the beach or something. There was a lot about the movie that felt overly simple. Characterizations felt overly simple. Both the protagonists and the antagonists, you know, felt overly simple, and but the ending, so it was just one more thing that felt overly simplistic. And I guess I don't have much more to say. It was just that Jesus thing. Well, I guess the other thing I would comment on are his powers in the climax that he got because of his run-in with the aliens. What the crap were we looking at? Were they traveling in time or in a parallel reality? Sometimes they were not seeing the government agents, and then in the last moment they were walking right between them as though they could see them, but the government agents couldn't see them. What was going on there? And in the final, you know, voiceover narration from the main character, he says something like, you know, how we escaped the cabin that day wouldn't make any sense that you could understand. It can't be explained in any way that you would understand. And I vocally said, yep, that's about right. I don't get what just happened. And so, you know, in a sci-fi movie like this, I want to understand at least the basic principle of what he's doing when he made these things disappear and reappear. I just want to understand the basic concept. And I didn't get that. So I was just bewildered by a lot of this movie. And, you know, if the other elements would have been stronger, if I would have felt like character would have been more the focus, then, you know, maybe that wouldn't have been a big deal. But as it is, you know, the problems with the movie just kind of got the better of it for me. So anyway, I, you know, am interested in this writer and director as a voice, and I would love to see him do another feature and make choices that maybe connect with me better, because I would like to see voices like his gain some prominence in Hollywood. So anyway, that's all for now.